Welcome everyone to the final round of the Super Blitz 2026 here in Poland, Warsaw. We have the world champion Gukesh taking on the local favorite Jan Krzysztof Duda, one of the finest Blitz players in the world. And Duda and Gukesh have a nice history between them. Duda did help Gukesh during his world championship preparation against Ding Liren. And look at the number of people who've turned up for this final round clash. Warsaw is really a chess loving city, and you can see that here in ample measure in the Pauline Museum. A handshake between the players. Duda starts with pawn to b3. Gukesh plays his pawn in the center, defends the pawn. e3 played. Will Gukesh go knight f6? Will he play d5? Many options. He goes knight to f6. And now the main move is bishop b5, threatening to take and win the pawn on e5. So Duda, waiting for his move, plays it. Bishop b5 and Gukesh defends it with the bishop. If you take here, it opens up my bishop. So knight comes out to e2. The plan usually is to castle and play f4. A black castles here. And now we have someone blocking our view. It goes away. Castles done. And now a6 is possible. So is rook e8. He plays knight e7, a slightly offbeat move. And f4 instantly played by Jan Krzysztof. He is opening up his rook. He's opening up the bishop. And Gukesh needs to be very careful. Knight g6 is the only move here. Because if you take here, already bishop f6, gf6 leads to big trouble. So knight g6 works well. It brings the queen to defend the knight, defends the pawn, also puts pressure on f4. And you can see Gukesh there slowing down, and rightly so. This is the moment to think. Also, it's the last round of the day. That means they've played 17 rounds of Blitz in 2 days. They must be tired. Knight g6 found. Good move. And now Duda can push the pawn forward with f5. Because taking here would mean that after something like bishop e5, black is completely fine. So I think pushing f5 makes a lot of sense. f5, knight e7, and maybe slowly knight g3 and move the knight, try to push your kingside pawns. That could be an idea. Duda now taking his time. Gukesh down to 4 minutes 7 seconds. This bishop is also undefended, so there could be tactics based on that bishop. Someday the queen could move here, attack this and this. This is how you should always be looking at the board. Undefended pieces become tactical targets at some point. Duda and Gukesh have had this kind of match in Poland a few months ago where Duda managed to beat Gukesh very with a big margin. I think it was 5-1 or something. Knight to g3. And now the knight is looking at f5 or h5. These squares. d5 played. I like how Gukesh is playing this. Knight to c3. And maybe you can play c6, but there's also d4. You can see Duda is unhappy with his position, because this is exactly the dream position that Gukesh would have asked for. d4 takes, queen takes, he plays it. Good move by Gukesh. And Duda shaking his head there. And he's planning to now decide what to do. To take the pawn. Yes, he takes it. Queen takes d4. King h1 played. And now bishop g4 looks like a strong move. You can also think about knight g4 trying to come to e2. But then queen e2, queen e1 works out, because queen e2, c6, the bishop suddenly does not have a square, but queen e1 works well. Your bishop can come back like c6, bishop e2. Black is okay. White is okay as well. Gukesh thinking here, plays pawn to c6, hitting the bishop. I think you must come back to the e2 square. That's the best square to go to. Otherwise, you're simply going to lose material. And the fact that Duda is taking time here shows that he's so unhappy with his position. I think he's just considering sacking here. But okay, bishop e2 played. And now Gukesh goes rook to d8, attacking this pawn, queen e1. If you take on d2, a very nice trap, rook d1, and you lose the game. So this such a nice move played by Duda just without thought. That's how you realize how one player is good at blitz or not, with moves like queen e1. Excellent. Okay, for Gukesh now, what do you do? Bishop g6, rook, bishop e6, rook e8. Maybe he was thinking even bishop g4. Oh, he plays it. He stops in his tracks. Because I think somewhere Gukesh was a bit scared that rook takes f6 would work or not. Rook d1 now defends the pawn. And rook e8 played a nice move, lining up the rook against the queen. h3, asking the question to the bishop. You can take here, but you can also move it back. Tough decision what to do. Gukesh has 2 minutes 50 seconds. Duda also has similar time on the clock. Very balanced game right now. Can go in any direction. And both the players' expressions are such like they are sort of exhausted, but they are trying their best. Bishop e6 played. And now rook takes f6. This is the move that seems like possible because, you really want to create weaknesses and black does not have them. In fact, black's position is rock solid. He takes it. Pawn takes and knight to e4. Attacking here. Knight could jump here. Now Gukesh has to be ultra careful. So you can think of a move like knight g6 to defend here, but then c3 suddenly, queen e5 and d4. It's game over. So he plays king h8, the best move. Now if you take here, I'm completely fine. I also have tactics like knight f3, hitting your queen and picking up the knight. So king h8, a lovely move by Gukesh. And now Duda can go c3. c3 pushing the queen and the queen can go back and then defend. Oof, the game has become very intense. And I think Duda really enjoys such positions. He's thinking hard. Plays it. Pawn to c3. Queen comes back to d8. And now d4. Kicking the knight even further away. Knight g6. He plays his knight back. And queen f2. Now putting pressure on the f6 point. But now can we do f5? Pushing the pawn forward. Because the thing is, here, yeah, f5 found by Gukesh. A good move. Because knight f5, he can already think about taking, and playing this position, which is, of course, not so easy to navigate. But at least you have one less pair of minor pieces on the board. Okay, f7 is hanging. What? He was going to play queen d5. But after queen f6, king g8, bishop c4 ends the game. It's queen d7. You have rook f1. Also, there's queen g6 and knight f6 and you lose this. So, huge blunder. Gukesh was going to play queen to d5 and stops it. He's touched the queen and look at him there. He's so unhappy. Queen e7. He finds the best move. Shaking his head there. This game is super tough for both players. Bishop d3 is the best move. If you play bishop c4, I have knight h4. Trying to put the knight, attacking the queen, putting pressure here. And Duda feels it that there should be a killer blow. Something like knight f6, but then just queen e2 does not work. 1 minute 24 seconds for Gukesh and Duda down to almost a minute now. He's like, I can't see the mate here. I can't see the finishing stroke. And he plays bishop d3, the best move, but not happily. If you look at the expression of both the players, it feels like both are unhappy with every move. Queen h4 played by Gukesh. Rook f1 played, good move. Rook e7, and now Duda is winning. Knight g5, attacks f7, threatens also queen f6 check. I think it's just a perfect move here in the position. Knight to g5, finds it. And now pressure on f7. King g8, you have bishop to c4 as well, I think. Just finishing it off on the f7 square. Well, Gukesh now down to a minute and 18 seconds. Duda has 45 seconds. And Gukesh is thinking, how should I defend here? You know, when your king is under attack and you have less time, it's so difficult. Like you think of moves like this and then suddenly check, king g8 and bishop takes g6 followed by e7 hanging. So it does not work. In fact, the question here is queen f6 check was not possible because the queen looked here. So knight g5 even blocks this. Threat is check, takes and take the rook. So Gukesh defends the rook. Bishop c4 quickly played, a beautiful move. Duda putting the pressure. Gukesh down to 17 seconds. 46 seconds for Duda. He's going to win this. He's winning. Clearly rook f8, but now a check. The bishop has moved. So that is a good point that Gukesh notices, that the bishop is now moved. So this bishop g6 idea is gone. Oh, it's not so simple actually to finish this off. Duda is trying to find the killer blow. Check, king g8. There's some discoveries here. Rook is in the air. Some things could happen, but it's not finishing. King h2. Ooh. Maybe a better move was b4, so that if b5 he could go bishop b3 and he has a complete dominance, and Gukesh finds b5, the best move, forcing the bishop of this dangerous diagonal, which is what Duda, if he had time, he had to maybe make space for his bishop. Great defense by Gukesh, having just 2 seconds on the clock there. b5, the bishop needs to move now, but where? He goes bishop d3 and rook e3 played. Suddenly it's Gukesh who's in the driver's seat. King h1 and now rook e1. Trading the rooks. Queen takes king h2. Still tricky. And look at Duda here. He's so surprised. He goes knight e4. Queen e3. Queen e5 threatening a check. Queen h6 played. Okay, this is just dangerous. Knight d7. Has to play f6. He finds it. Knight f8 not possible. The queen is hanging. Queen d6 attacks here, but now rook f7. The better move was queen e6. And knight f6. Queen f8. Forcing a trade, or the knight is hanging. Duda can't believe what he's done. Now he has no time, but Gukesh is winning. Knight e5. And now rook takes d4. Takes the pawn. Comes back. Defends everything. King comes up. King g7. King f4, king f6. He pushes the pawn forward. And Gukesh has a totally winning endgame. His rook is much more powerful than the knight. The knight has to move away. Duda goes knight a5. Hoping somehow that he can defend this position. But it looks really bad. a3. Rook goes back behind the pawn. And now king e4. He takes a pawn. g5 check, king goes back to g7, b4 played. And he's going to lose that pawn as well. a5, nice move. If takes, rook takes b4 and then h4 falls as well, king d5. He takes the pawn, b3 played and rook takes the pawn. Now you have extra pawn here. This will also fall. This is amazing. b4. Gukesh does not even think about giving back his rook. King f7. Knight to c5. And rook g4. He comes back with the knight. b3 played. Even if you give a check and win the rook, the b pawn is going to queen. Gukesh has calculated it. And Duda resigns with a smile on his face. Gukesh also has a smile. I think both the players are just like, okay, thank God the tournament is over. But really, a very interesting game of attack and defense. Gukesh can't believe that he's managed to win this. With this, he finishes 6th in the tournament ahead of Javokir Sindarov, which is quite a nice result for Gukesh. And this last game was filled with many interesting points. We hope you enjoyed it. This is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.